Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the rights of women in Islam. So I've already done a video about my feelings on feminism in Islam. That's not what this video is. This video is about a woman's Islamic rights. So a lot of people claim that Islam oppresses women, that it's very anti-women's rights, and that's actually the furthest thing from the truth. Now, I've got some notes on my phone, so I might occasionally look down to check it out, like I'm going to do right now. So first we're going to talk about marriage. Marriage is seen as half our deen, but it is also seen as a mutually beneficial contract. So that means the marriage is supposed to benefit both people, not just a man, not just a woman, both people. So women actually have the right to choose their own husband. In Islam, they get to say yes, they get to say no. Even if they're in an arranged marriage, they can say, no thank you. So that is a right that they have. And when they get married, they can sign a prenup, prenuptial? I don't know how to say that word. Nuptial. You might have to educate me on that. But basically an agreement before marriage that states out exactly what the woman wants to have happen. So she gets to say, you can only marry or date me, and that's it. No other wives, no other girlfriends, nothing, just me. She can say, you don't get to argue with me about whether or not I wear a head covering. This is my own decision because there is no compulsion in religion, which is backed up by the Quran. I have another video about that if you want to check that out. But she gets to say that. She also can say, she can talk about divorce, because women are allowed to divorce in Islam, which is interesting because in a lot of cultures, women are not given that right. But in Islam, they are given that right, and they can say what they want to have happen in that case. So you can say, if we divorce, I expect you to give me X amount of money, like, well, maybe not that. Well, I guess you could say that. You could say, I expect you to help me move out of the place. I expect you to do this and this and this. They get to talk about custody of their children. And also they can talk about whether or not they, expect something from the marriage, like a dowry. But that's pretty common. Like the man will give the woman something such as a ring, a trip, something. I know of a YouTuber, Samantha J. Boyle. I really recommend her. I will link her channel down below. But I believe when she got married, I could be getting this wrong, but I believe when she got married, she asked for a ring and a trip to Medina and Mecca, as soon as they were able to afford that trip. They wouldn't just go by car or something. They would go straight there. They would make their pilgrimage. So, but if you're going to ask me what did I ask for, well, I wasn't converted yet. I wasn't a revert yet. I was agnostic. But I did say I wanted a ring. So I think that counts, honestly. There you have it. But women get to have those rights. And they get to also write in there, like, what will happen when we have a disagreement. Like, you're not going to hurt me, you're not going to shout, you're not going to throw things, and they can go back to that. Like if their husbands are doing things that they already said weren't acceptable, they can say, hey, remember when I wrote this? You aren't following it. You just aren't. So those are some of the marriage rights that women have. When it comes to, a lot of people talk about inheritance, men often receive more, but actually women can have, I think it can be half to equal what men get in the inheritance. But that's the case if there's no last will and testament. Men are often given more when there's a will because there's an expectation that they're able to provide for their family. So, there's an expectation for women to do that, but more heavily on the man. So often they're given more so they can have that ability to provide. But if it's the woman who's providing, she's going to be given more. But Muslim women actually get to have their own money. Like they can say, this is your money, this is my money, or this is our money, and oh, I've got some money over here. Like that's not un-Islamic to do. It might be culturally unacceptable, but it's not un-Islamic. And I'm going to get into the aspect of culture versus Islam, but right now I'm just going over our rights. So for the head covering, honestly, I think this is so nitpicky. So nitpicky. This shouldn't be something that you're obsessing over, but unfortunately it is something that people obsess over. I talked about if hijab is compulsory or not, and at what age should you wear hijab. Spoiler alert, it's whenever you feel ready. So I won't really get into it, but it is the woman's choice whether or not she gets to wear it, because there's no compulsion in religion. As I said before, that is backed up in the Quran. And so a lot of people say that that Islam is oppressive because they're making them wear the headscarf, and Islamically, that's not correct. The woman gets to choose. Culturally, sometimes people make women wear the headscarf, but that is not Islamically correct. So, I saw this odd thing, that was saying that, like, women aren't considered equal, like it was like a TikTok, I think, like, women aren't considered equal in the eyes of the Quran, well, in the eyes of God, because the Quran is God's word, but, and that, Islam is misogynistic, but let me look at my notes again. Actually, both men and women are addressed equally in the Quran. They both have to follow the same laws. They have to live by the same standards. They are seen as equals in God's eyes. Obviously, that person hasn't ever read the Quran, because if they had, they would know that. So the problem that what she's talking about in that video is, again, about culture and how culture addresses men and women differently, but that's really not Islam. Women really need to educate themselves on their Islamic rights so that they can move forward and say, hey, we're supposedly an Islamic country, so if that's the case, these are my rights that I get to have. by my religion, so therefore give them to me. Women have the right to an education. Women have the right to every right that a man has. Period. Full stop. Okay. So I did say we would talk a little bit about culture versus Islam. So culture comes from man. Islam comes from God. So Allah knows best, but man obviously does not. And man, I want to say makes mistakes, which is true, but mistake seems like too soft of a word for oppression. So man oppresses, and when I say man, I mean all human beings. I should maybe correct my language. Humans oppress, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of men who think that they are higher up in status than women, and they try and dominate, and that is not Islamically correct. That's not correct by any standards, I don't think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong about other religions. I grew up Christian, and I don't even think oppression of women was okay then either. So, that's just a not okay thing. So again, women have to express their Islamic rights and fight for what's right. Fight for what they deserve. Fight for the ability to drive, for instance, the ability to have an education, the ability to be paid equally, the ability to be able to divorce, to be able to choose, what happens with their kids. Because that's, I don't know if I went over that, I don't remember, but that is something that Muslim women get to do. They get to talk about custody of children, and they get that right to say, I'm going to get the kids, or you're going to get the kids, or we're going to split their time with us 50-50 or whatever. They get to say that. It's not the man's choice. The man doesn't just say, oh, well, you have to listen to me. They're going to go to the end. Bye. I don't want to be in their life. Or I'm taking the kids and running off to another country. That is not Islamically correct. Okay? So, people make a lot of huge mistakes, but you need to separate that from the religion. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that. A lot of people, especially in Western countries, are conditioned to believe that certain aspects of human-made things and rules are the same as what God made, and that is not true. Allah knows best. Humans do not. Allah said that women are the same as men. They are equal in status, that they get these rights. But unfortunately, in a lot of places, men said no. And they're going to have to answer to Allah when the day of judgment comes. They're going to have to stand there and say, this is why I did this, and God's gonna have some words. God is going to have some words with them. You mark my words. God is not going to be pleased. So, women, again, just to wrap up, women have a lot of rights in Islam. I did, for some reason, I didn't write the Quran verses down in my notes. I will probably go over what I was talking about in this video and write the exact verses down, and you guys can check them out, read them for yourself. Again, the Arabic translation is the true translation, is the true version, excuse me. It's not translation, it's God's word. So translations to other languages may be slightly different, but I will endeavor to do my best to lead you to a good translation. And I just wanted to say that if I got anything wrong, may Allah forgive me. And if I got anything right, that is through the blessings of Allah. Okay, I hope you guys have a great day and enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like below. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and think about subscribing. Alright, have a great day or night or afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. Have a great one. Okay, bye.